right, so Gray Taylor. He was I really got to know Gray when he was 16. He worked for me, and he was the equipment manager. And Gray would be a little short with you sometimes. He was a planner, and that's the way it was, and that's the way it's going to be. And I remember they were trying to figure out if Gray should come back or not. And Howie said, I don't know. He seems to be a little short with people. I said, but boy, he's responsible. I said, I think he's worth polishing the edges out. So Howie said, all right, we'll have him back. And he worked here. Gosh, I don't know how many years he worked here. But it was, once he got an idea, he would follow through with it. And Gray was very attentive. I mean, he obviously, I went to their house one time, and he was tearing the floor up in the house. He just bought this house, tearing the floor up. And I said, Mario, what are y'all doing? I said, Gray's tearing the floor, going to replace the floor. He said, well, that's cool. I said, does he know what he's doing? He says he said he knows to learn all this stuff from you. So I'm guessing he knows what he's doing. So it was pretty obvious that he was an experiential learner. He did it, that he could go apply it. And so I guess he was a student chief of the fire squad at Swanee, went to his graduation. And needless to say, we had a few coolings while we were at graduation. So it was a graduation, and me and another his buddy, Jamie White, we kind of went out cruising around the Swanee campus. I had been on the campus before, it'd been a long time. And so somehow we ended up at the president's house at a party. So there was all these people, and me and Jamie's looking around, and I said, I don't know, do you recognize anybody? No. I said, so we got to talking, and it turned out it was a social for the president of Swanee was having at his house. And we kind of walked through the bushes, ended up on the patio, and was mingling with all these people. And so we had hors d'oeuvres, shot the, I think they thought we were somebody, but we were nobody. And we kind of slid back through the bushes and left. And Gray Boney said, where y'all been? We've been looking for you. I said, well, is it the president's gig? He said, you were what? See, we was over at the president's house. He got hors d'oeuvres, and so I said, I don't think you were invited. I said, nobody around us all, so we stayed. He said, God, I'm gonna hear about this. So that was quite fun. Then there was a time I helped Gray move to his apartment in Clemson, which I was more than happy to. Since I went to Clemson, I helped him move down to his apartment in Clemson. I think I loaned him a bed, actually. I don't think he had much. It was a one-bedroom apartment. It was like row housing, you know. It was nothing. So we moved him down there, throwed all his stuff in there, and then he had this project where he was catching and trapping beavers for the wildlife. He was getting a degree in forestry, and so I had beaver problems. So we ended up turning his project into my project into his project, and the Clemson University helped trap my beavers. It was so. And then the other time, me and Gray my house was under construction, which would have been 89. It'd been the summer of 89. And we were staying up there. He was living up there. We had 2 cots inside the house. The house was unfinished. It had no interior walls, plywood floor, had doors and windows, and a hot plate. We made coffee. But my goal after the first night, my goal was to go to bed before he did and go to sleep. Because if you didn't, it sounded like a sawmill. That guy could snore. I'd get up in the middle of the night and jump up and down on top of him. I'd be so mad. And I finally told Mario, I said, you must not get any sleep at night. She said, yeah, he's quite noisy in the old snoring department. So I just never forget that. And then my final story is the duck hunt. We'll call it the duck hunt. So Grace said, I want to take you duck hunting. I said, I don't know nothing about duck hunting. He said, well, you know how to shoot a shotgun? I said, yeah. So we went down there. There's another guy went there, Steve Huff. So me and Steve went down to, I guess he was in Mount Pleasant, his first house in Mount Pleasant. And we got up at 3:30 in the morning, me and him and Steve and the dog. You got to have a dog to duck hunt evidently. So we went, got in the car, drove out in the middle of nowhere to one of these quick stop places, 3:30 in the morning, and there's a waiting line to get coffee. Everybody and their brother decided to go duck hunting that day. I mean, the parking lot was packed full. So I don't know, I couldn't believe it. So we're in line trying to get coffee and a donut. There were people all in this store. And me and Steve, we were just doing whatever Grace said. We supposed to buy a candy bar, we'd buy a candy bar. That's whatever you got to do to go duck hunting. So we all piled in, and of course, we had a boat that was camouflaged. I don't even think, if we hadn't had it hooked to the truck, we'd have lost it. It was so camouflaged. So we got this trailer, this boat, and we got out to this lake. The Santee Cooper's where we were going. And if you know Santee Cooper, it was a lake built during the war, and they cut the trees down and filled it up, and it was part of a nuclear project to generate power and stuff. So all the stumps out there are 6 inches under the surface of the water. This is 4:30 in the morning. Can't see your hand in front of your face. Crank up and rev up this boat. We can get in this boat. You got nets, fake ducks laying everywhere, guns, camouflage, faces painted. And you're easing across this thing, and what it is, you just ease across till you hit a stump, and then you get on the other side of it, and you just work your way. So we got to the edge of this kind of open area, big old tree, huge tree. And you got the dog in there with you. So it's you, 2 people, all these fake ducks, camouflage netting, guns, coolers. So you're out here, and we get out of this tree, and we got these waders on. So I guess, as far as I'm concerned, I was scared to fill up my drown. And so you got these waders on. So you're out beside this tree, and he let us out, and the water level at the tree is, about ankle deep. But as you walk away from the tree, it'll get up to about your waist, and that's about the depth of it. Well, he puts up it's basically a deer stand. And he puts the dog up on the deer stand so his feet wouldn't get wet. So we're standing down in this mucky water. Well, we got rubber boots on, and the dog's sitting on the tree stand. So Grace says, I'm going to go check out, see if there's anything around the bend and flush some duck show away. So me and Steve sat down there, and Steve wouldn't know what a duck was if it landed on him, because he'd already tried to shoot something. Grace said, that's an endangered species, don't shoot that. So anyway, Gray goes around the corner, and I'm looking at this dog who's high and dry, sitting on and I told Steve, I said, I'm going to sit on that tree stand. So I kicked the dog out of the tree stand. And I got on the tree stand because it was kind of cold. It was early in the morning. And Steve says, Gray ain't going to like you kicking this dog out of that tree stand. So we could hear the motor coming back. So I had to scramble out of the tree stand and hoof the dog back up on there, so when he got there, it looked like it was just when he left. And I don't think I ever told Gray I did that with his dog or whatever, but needless to say, we stood in a lot of water, drank a lot of coffee, which turned into beer later, and the ducks were safe. We never killed a single duck. Oh, here's another story. I got one more story to tell. So this is one of my favorites. So we're down at Parks's place at the house on the river, and there's this power pole that's part of a dock, I guess. It's just out in the water, and it's probably at the base of that pole, that water, where the water hits the pole down is probably about 10 feet, and it's down the water, and then from the edge of the water line of the river to the pole was probably 30 feet. So Gray had this real fancy, he was into knives, he had this real fancy $high knife, fancy knife. And I said, man, this is old water. I mean, there's nothing water all around his pole. I told Gray, I said, I could stick his knife in his pole from here. I'd throw it, hit that pole. And he looked at me and he said, I'd rather you not. I said, I could do it. Ain't gonna be no problem. And he had to go to the house to something. I said, I won't throw your knife. As soon as he got in the door, Clark stripped down to his underwear, swam out, stuck the knife up in the pole and swam back, got his clothes back on. We're sitting there. And he come back and I said, well, I have to lie. I threw the knife at the pole. He looked at that pole and there stuck that knife. And he looked at me and I said, I knew I could do it. And I don't know if he ever figured it out or not. If he did, he never told us that. But yeah, not many times you could get one over old Gray, but that was one of my favorites. I say, Margaret, I know it's hard, Emmer and Liza, but Gray, he got a lot in a short period of time, I would say. Obviously very smart, very logical, and very adaptive to learning and trying stuff, and quick on the uptake. And I am guessing y'all are probably the same way. So it would be my guess. But I don't know. He built a lot of stuff over time. He always liked working with his hands. So, I mean, I think that's the best way to remember it was just some of his stuff that he did, made for y'all and built and just explored with us. So I would think, and I'm sure you must have thousands of pictures of some of the stuff that he did, you know. It probably wouldn't hurt to sit down and just look at them pictures every once in a while. Pictures are great. I like pictures, so. But anyway, all the guys still talk about Gray. I always comes up about what would Gray think about this. So that's always a common theme between Jamie and Latson and Steve Knott and Parks, Ed, and that whole Clark and that whole crew. So, anyway, well, good memories.
Good memories.
Take care.
Thank you.